that brings me to like Tamlin as well. So I don't hate Tamlin. Don't come at me. I know that what he did to Feyre is horrible, and he fucking deserves to pay for that. You do not raise your hands to your partner. But Tamlin, again, is not evil. He's clearly going through something, and they're just like letting him struggle. I believe that Tamlin deserves a redemption arc. He did like want to trap Feyre, and I'm glad Rhys saved her. That second book, the beginning, was awful. But, okay, again, I haven't reread the first book, so I just, but when I first read the first book, I never saw Tamlin as an abuser. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why people all of a sudden just turn against him in the second book, and they're like, oh yeah, even in the first one he showed sign. No, he didn't. Like, in my opinion, and I know that I'm not the only one who thinks that, but like, even in the first book, I'm like, what did he do that every single male in Sarah J. Maas's world does not do? Like, he's alpha, protective, growly, whatever, but that's like all her men. So what is it with Tamlin? Again, comments. Like, let's discuss this. Don't be mean. Maybe it's something I don't remember. If you tell me in the comments, oh, he did this in the first book, and like, I go and see it, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. I might be open to changing my mind, but from what I remember, Tamlin isn't that bad, and I just don't understand why everyone is so hateful towards him when he's clearly also suffering. Like, even if he did bad things, does he not deserve compassion? To me, he does. Sarah J. Maas writes trauma beautifully. The way she wrote Nesta, when Nesta was talking about like how she hated herself and she just thinks she's a failure, and you like start to understand more and more why she pushes people away, because she thinks she's unworthy, and the way she pushes Cass away because she thinks he deserves better. And I just want to give her a hug. And I'm so happy that she grows and she finds something to focus all the anger on, and that is fighting, and, you know, helping those women, because the whole priestesses and their stories sort of tie to Nesta's, because she's gone through some trauma, but they've also gone through trauma, and they're literally isolating themselves and living in like this library beneath a mountain because they don't ever want to come out into the world. And Nesta's doing the same thing, but on the inside. And so they sort of like help each other. Nesta's like, I actually like this fighting. It centers me. And she's like, maybe they're gonna like it as well. And so when they start like coming out to train into the light, it's just beautiful. Gwyn is, I love her. I love Gwyn so much. I have shipped her with Az from the moment they like were in a scene together. So when I think she looks at him or whatever, and I'm like, that's it. That's the ship. That's the next book. So I think that I have a sixth sense for ships and couples. I have never been wrong, okay? I'm telling you, like, I can read a book. I have a radar. I can read a book and I see two characters talking to one another and I'm like, that's it, you're together. So when they interacted, I was like, yes, I ship it. It's gonna happen. That's where Sarah's going, and I'm glad, because we're on to talking about Elaine, that useless bitch. I don't like Elaine. Okay, everyone was pissed at Nesta for doing nothing while Farah was providing for them. Farah's the baby. But Elaine is also Farah's eldest sister. What was she doing? Nothing. Nothing. At least Nesta was being a bitch. But Elaine? What was the kind one? Okay, well, kind one. Go and fucking help your sister. But no, she stayed behind Nesta all this time. So, like, why is everyone mad at Nesta for doing nothing, but not mad at Elaine for the same thing? Like, excuse me? And I just hate this whole, like, to me it feels like an act, like, oh, the shy, sweet, innocent Elaine. Fuck you. She's boring. She's plain. She's a puppy. She's been described as a pleasant companion. That's a puppy. But I was over her in this book. Things started happening between her and Az. I'm like, no. Okay, you leave baby Az alone. He's not made for you. One of the reasons why I cannot stand Elaine is how she treats Lucian. He's your mate, okay? But that's not, like, I understand. Okay, he's my mate. It's not my choice. I want space, whatever. He's giving you space. He's leaving her alone. He's not stalking her. He's not coming to visit her every 5 seconds. He's literally in the human lens, and you're literally so far away from him all the time. He has not mentioned the mating bond or anything, and you still cannot look at him in the eyes? What is wrong with you? You're supposed to be the kind one. She's acting like such a bitch, and I get it, like, oh, the mating bond, I didn't want to be a fae, and like now I'm forced, like this mating bond is forced on me. I get it. I get not wanting it. But it's there, and Lucian's being kind, and he's giving you space, and you're being rude and mean to him? Like, that hurts so much, my poor Lucian. Anyway, like, I can't. And now, there's, like, something with Az. No. And, like, Az, you don't know what you want. Okay? That Az chapter, which wasn't in my edition, by the way, I found it online. I read it, and he's so horny. And I'm like, okay, but Elaine is not for you. I get it, Az, but go find someone else. And I know that that someone else is Gwyn. I just know it, and I cannot wait. And my theory is, the next book is Az's book, and we're gonna get him and Gwyn, and they're probably gonna be mates as well, because there are mates everywhere. Let's talk about the mating bond. Okay. For so long, I tried to convince myself that Cass and Nesta were not mates and that they just really loved each other. That's what I wanted, because I'm over the mating thing. I love it, but at the same time I hate it. I love it, but it cannot be overdone. And I feel like it's overdone because everyone has a mate. Something that is supposed to be rare. Whatever. So for so long, I was like, they're not mates. But then I realized that they were mates on page 542. I'm like, oh, fuck this. Why? I just feel like it cheapens it in a certain way to be mates, because it's like there's this like magical thing tying you together, not necessarily your will or like your love. I don't know. It's kind of a cool concept that I can get behind and that I sort of love. This sort of like, oh, it's destiny, but at the same time, like, you can't overdo it. And I didn't want to. Like, they didn't need to be mates. And now Az is like jealous and he wants a mate, and I'm like, fuck. Like, I know that he's gonna end up with Gwyn. Okay, that's my prediction. But I don't want them to be mates. If they're mates, I'm like, oh my god. The 3 main couples are mates. Like, stop. Okay, the blood right. I forgot. Okay, as soon as Nesta was asking about the blood right and like, oh, no female participates, I knew they were gonna do the blood right, and I was right. I was right. So the blood right was intense. It just felt like the Hunger Games. I just loved that they were connected with their bracelets because they could always find each other, and like, oh, the fact that like Nesta can make things like that, like magical objects, and she can make and unmake life, which now she's lost the power. I think she still has a little bit of it, but she gave it back to the cauldron. It's not very clear, but I'm pretty sure we'll get the answers in the next books. But the fact that Nesta had that power, she was a god. She was a god. That was so awesome. And they like survived together. They fought together. They climbed that mountain, and that was just epic. I loved every second of it. And those fucking Illyrians. They're so hateable. They're such assholes. We need to change that society so bad. There's a lot about like violence against women, like men doing violence against women. These women are survivors. They've got each other's backs. They're badasses. Oh, also like in the As chapter, I was like reading comments. I was on TikTok and like in the comments, people were like talking about the As chapter, and I didn't realize some things, but like the shadow thing, people have pointed out like his shadows, they hide from Elaine, but they, Gwyn smiles at them. Like, obviously, he's made to be with Gwyn. So yeah, and there's also another thing where Gwyn makes him smile and chuckle, and Gwyn's personality sort of completes, I feel like, Az's, and she has one, unlike Elaine. And he's comfortable around her, which he never really is with Elaine. Oh my god, I've been filming for 57 minutes. I feel like I was all over the place. I am sorry. I'm sorry to myself, who's gonna have to edit that, and I'm sorry for you guys if nothing made sense. I just wanted to ramble about things, tell you about the things I liked, the things I didn't like, the things that made me mad. We read to feel things, and I feel like with Sarah J. Maas's books, as much as we like to say that they're trash, they make us feel things, and I love them. They're entertaining, and I hope she writes forevermore, and I cannot wait for the next books. And if you've stayed with me, thank you. I'll see you next time for a review of Chain of Iron, which I read right after A Court of Silver Flames, and it's gonna be a long-ass one as well. But thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you pretty soon.